visions for science in the future. Let's try and get some sense of where you think the main opportunities and challenges are for the future. President Bourguignon, also, give us an idea of a health check for the way science research is in Europe now. Are we in a good place, or where are we?
I think Europe has been making very considerable progress, although Europe is, of course, a combination of countries with different situations, so we have always to be careful that we don't leave people on the side. At the level of the European Commission, which has a very ambitious program to support research, I think it has been growing, and we really hope it will continue to grow, as you know, for the next framework program. So this is where we are. And in terms of performance, because you are more or less indicating also in terms of performance, for a long time Europe was actually lagging behind in terms of the 1% most cited papers, which is very often considered really the papers which have the most influence. And a very interesting point is that in the last years, actually, Europe has really bridged the gap with the United States. And actually, I don't want to promote my own institution too much, but the ERC
That's what you're here for, actually.
ERC has really played a very significant role, and because at the moment, with a very independent study, which has been done by Climate Analytics, the ERC is the organization worldwide which has the highest percentage of publications in its 1% most cited papers. So I think we should consider this as a success, which means that the European scientists working in Europe, now not Europe, all European scientists, have been both well-organized, attractive, and ambitious enough to really reach this very special position of
So where do you see the opportunities and challenges ahead?
Well, I think the main difficulty, of course, is to make this continue, and continue in a good way, that is in particular giving very, very strong support to the younger generation, which means two things. First of all, to give them the means to do their research. At the ERC, European Research Council, 2/3 of our grantees are between 40, below 40, so which means that we really concentrate our efforts on the younger generation, first of all. But then these people have to find positions, which is always something for which there is a big debate, because at the moment the European Commission is not in position to give long-term position. Maybe it will sometime. It's not the perspective at this moment. But of course the countries have to organize themselves, and we always have to think of the research organization as something of a global system, which means that, of course, you need the projects to be supported, but you need positions for people, and you need to motivate the next generation the right way.
But what about translating science into innovation in the end? Because in the end, that is really what's going to pull the public in, isn't it, to really understand what it's for? How do you make that leap from the science in the lab to innovation?
I think this is, of course, an extremely important issue, but sometimes it's seen as some kind of a mechanical process, when actually we should really think of this as a creative process. And by this I mean that at the European Research Council, for example, we have a smaller part of the program which is called Proof of Concept, which is a generic name for people who want to bridge out from what they have been doing as researchers towards either societal needs or industrial applications. And what is very, very important in our case is that this is not a priori. It's just when people feel that there is something different to do which they have not planned and they want to be accompanied for doing. So we help them in the first steps. But of course we know if really people are serious about developing a company or so, then of course they need a longer support and bigger support. So I think from that point of view, what the European Commission is planning with the setting up of European Innovation Council could be actually we need to have a link towards this. And of course this is not anymore our job, but of course we did help people to come up with the first step. And then people have to find the right connection to investors, to different kinds of projects, which really require different scale, a different perspective. And I think this is an extremely important thing. But it should not be considered as a prerequisite when people submit. It should just be that people really see the possibility at some point, at their initiative, to do that. I'm not saying that other ways are not possible, but in the case of ERC, we're very clear. We don't want this to become one of our criteria of selection. Criteria of selection should be genuine originality of the project and ambition of people.
you.